Welcome back to the Man Cave Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are back this week with some more juicy stuff.
Slavery.
You're going to do this every time?
The same thing.
My God. But yeah, so a talking point on the internet, if you follow like any black content creators, which George clearly does
don't.
not.
I try to avoid them.
Clearly. But a good talking point and a point of conversation for a lot of different people from all walks of life is how African Americans and people born in Africa, because there are different countries in Africa, how they don't get along sometimes, or the stereotype that Black Americans have in terms of being lazy or whatever it is that African parents are often telling their kids before they come to the States. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about the dynamic between the two and talk about where we can kind of like take some accountability as far as like Africans and Americans for the reason why our culture is the way it is now. Any questions before we dive in here?
No, I'm excited.
Are you ready? Yeah, I'm sure
ready for you to take some accountability.
You like some controversy. Cool enough. But yeah, so there's this clip I want to play real quick. You ever heard of the Daily Wrap Up Crew?
No.
Black dudes. So yeah, like again, George doesn't watch.
There's a theme here.
Content creators. But it's a clip I want to play. They were having a conversation with these two young ladies who were from Africa, the continent. And I have to figure out what country they're from because I don't want to be one of those people like, oh yeah, you're African. Like there's 100,000 different types of Africans.
And you want to know all of them?
It's impossible.
All right, then just chalk it up to Africa.
That's crazy. That's like me seeing somebody who's Chinese and saying, oh, you're Asian, and they could be Korean. Oh, okay. It's important to know the difference. You're not Mexican. You're Hispanic, but you're not.
I guess that's a good example. Yeah. Now I understand what you mean. He's such a good teacher.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Disrespect to African American. Look,
it's literally they're
can I ask y'all a question? Y'all know Hispanic people, right? Mm-hmm. If a person doesn't know Spanish, but he's still considered Puerto Rican, right? Don't every Puerto Rican person still claim they're Puerto Rican? They're not. You American Spanish. They don't say that shit.
I know. We get called gringos regardless if you don't speak English.
Oh yeah, you did say that actually.
So he a little, but he's still wrong.
He's still wrong.
Yeah.
Nobody's surprised by
Nobody.
People, how we're not as black as they are because we were born in America.
Okay.
I think when it comes to this conversation, it's just, like I said, it's very disingenuous to say Black Americans are lazy, especially when Black Americans are the reason why your family was able to leave your country and come to a better country and have a better opportunity. And we can't act.
So that's kind of where I want to stop. The video is like an hour and 18 minutes long. If you want to watch the whole thing, we can plug the video in the comments or whatever. But did you know that dynamic existed? Like that Africans sort of looked at African Americans as like less than, or you did?
Yeah, because they see African Americans as like not from their, because they weren't born there, right? They didn't spend time there, right? So they can't claim there,
right?
Is that's basically the logic?
Yeah.
Well, I've heard it before. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting because one of the talking points is that African Americans don't know where they come from, and it's crazy because, like, in a sense, and they actually talked about this in the video. We know where we come from. Like, we were born here,
but it's like the people from there don't want you to be from there,
right? It's just like, all right, like that you sound stupid saying you're from here. Like, sure, you were born here, but your family, like your story didn't start in America. It started in one of these African countries. Which, okay, sure. But you can say that about anybody from any of these Caribbean islands. Jamaicans don't catch flack for that. Like, it's only people who live here in America who get dogged out.
Yeah.
So now I kind of want to like pivot to some of the history of this shit. And where is this thing? So what people probably don't know is that like the Portuguese were initially one of the people who came to Africa and wanted to steal them from the country. I think they mostly wanted to use them for labor, but they were getting like so much resistance. Like the people there were fighting back, the Mali people, the Congo, They were like, just fuck it. Like, I don't even, like, this is a headache.
The Portuguese people,
Yeah.
it was like, keep it.
Right. So they got a little crafty and they started going to like the markets. And what they found was that like these African tribes had already enslaved each other. Like, so if you're, I'm just going to use this example. I hope my wife forgives me. If you're Yoruba and I'm Igbo, those are two tribes from Nigeria, you may think you're better than me. And it's largely due to like our politics, our religion, whatever our differences. It's not about our skin color or the way we look because a lot of them have the same complexion.
Yeah, it's about like the way you live your life.
Exactly. Okay. And so like you might declare war on like some of our villages. And if we lose, we then become prisoners of war. Those people would then get shipped off to these markets where the Portuguese were going and they were getting sold to them.
Okay.
And they would get shipped off to these other islands to work and get their asses whipped.
Okay.
Was that not funny? I shouldn't have said that.
That is what happened.
So like fast forward, now it's like people from Africa, mostly I think mostly you can probably trace back to like the western parts of Africa, are now all over the world, scattered about, don't speak the language that they probably spoke on the continent of Africa. And now they're basically a force to assimilate to this new type of environment, which, you know, you got to kind of do in order to survive. But it's like, all right, why did we sell them in the first place is usually like the next train of thought. Like, all right, yeah, you were at war with these people, but did you have to? And then like the answer simply is like, yeah, like they were trying to get whatever the Portuguese brought over in terms of like
merchandise.
Exactly. Like, you know, like maybe they were trading some shit that they didn't really need. I think at the end of the day.
So they started trading people
for goods.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they viewed that person as merchandise the same way that you would trade it for Oreos. You get it? Black, white inside.
Shut the fuck up. I shouldn't have laughed at that. That's fucked up. I shouldn't have laughed at that. But yeah, like basically, like, you know, I take your kid after I wipe out your whole family, put them on the market, and get me a shotgun.
Okay.
As a result. But the thing I think is important for people to realize and understand is like African people are not like homogenous. Like they're not all one train of thought. So when people start talking about like Africa as a whole, like you got to think of how many different countries there are in Africa. Yeah. These people, they were no different than you and I. Like, yeah, we're both American, but like you're Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
I'm the superior race. I'm black. You know, there's differences. And just because, you know, you and I might have similar features doesn't mean that you and I are
the same at all.
At all. Yeah. And it's funny because I think also people kind of gloss over the fact that slavery existed in a lot of different cultures.
Yeah.
And I have a clip here. I'm going to show you. I feel like I'm doing a fucking presentation.
Yeah, you are.
Jesus. Hopefully I don't get a McDonald's ad or something.
Number 2, it wasn't all about race. For almost all of recorded history, most slaves were enslaved by people who looked like them, people of the same race. Africans enslaved neighboring Africans, Asian civilizations enslaved nearby Asian groups, Europeans enslaved other Europeans, Native Americans enslaved other Native Americans. In other words, intra-racial slavery was the norm. Interracial slavery was the exception, although it too was practiced by just about every racial group you can think of. The word slave actually comes from the Slavs of southern Europe. Over 1 million of them were captured and enslaved by Arabs, who established the most widespread slave trade in human history. In fact, the Arab slave trade, which captured up to 18 million people, actually began 10 centuries before the infamous transatlantic slave trade and ended 150 years after it. It wasn't until 1962 when the largest Arab nation, Saudi Arabia, formally abolished slavery. 3 things you weren't taught about slavery.
So Arabs are really like the OGs in the game of slavery.
The OGs and the last breed, the last of a dying breed. Like 1962, bro? Like,
because I had a joke that now doesn't really work because I figured that, you know, white people saw black people enslaving each other and was like, no shit, we could do this. And then decided to do it, right? In the classic sense that black people do shit, make it look cool, and white people take it too far. Okay. That's what I figured slavery was like.
I mean, it's still kind of true. Like,
yeah, where it was like, yo, black people do this shit. Oh, that's cool. White people
true.
take it and then they just like run it into the ground.
Yeah.
So I thought that's what slavery was kind of like.
Shout out to woke.
Yeah, 100%. Prime example,
Jesus
right?
Christ.
But now it's telling me that Arabs are actually the ones that kind of like
Arabs.
Isn't that what he said?
It's Arab. That is a huge difference.
What's the difference?
Yeah, I think one is more like a slur, George. If I'm not
Arab. How do you spell one versus the other?
I think Arab implies that there's like a hyphen between the two. And
so
Arab it's all
hyphen rab.
No, I think this is like your Kansas moment for ethnicities.
I would think they would spell the same.
They are the same. There's the same word, but it's the way you're saying it sounds crazy.
So the pronunciation of the word Arab versus Arab is
crazy. That still, it's every time you say it, it just feels like YouTube is about to close our shit down.
Arab.
There you go. Thank you.
I don't really see the difference. I'm sure someone in the comment section will tell me.
I hope so.
But I guess they're the real like.
I mean, according to this guy,
led the force in enslaving other cultures.
It sounds like that.
All right.
Yeah. But no, so like, but even in that, and this is like a nuance thing that doesn't really have anything to do with the episode. They always talk about like black on black crime. It's not really a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Because in any neighborhood, wherever there are the majority of, one individual ethnicity or race, whatever, those people are committing majority of crimes against each other.
Yeah.
Case in point. Asians
because you're surrounded by that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the people that are within arm's reach that you can take advantage of.
Yeah. That's why there's like, you're not really like for the bear.
I feel like you're about
the man versus bear scenario, right?
Okay.
It's like we don't spend that much time around bears for them to kill as many people as men would.
Exactly.
Because they're not everywhere the same way that man is.
Right.
So that argument is also kind of the same.
Yeah.
Statistically, anyway, emotionally, you can feel the way you want to feel.
Right.
But to the same point. But it is actually like exactly the same in the sense where it's like, if you tell, I've seen the argument of white people being like, oh, well, black people been fucking slaving each other. Y'all started that shit.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be mad at us because we do it too. Right? And then it's like black on black crime. It's like y'all kill each other. Yeah. Don't be mad at us when it happen when we happen to kill one of y'all too. Yeah. Yep. It's the same fucking thing. Yeah.
And it's a twisted logic because it's like, all right, you see something fucked up happening. So you're like, all right, well, I'll just be fucked up too. Mm-hmm. Like you don't want to be better. You don't want to be, you want to stoop down?
No, I mean, if you can fucking do it, I'm going to do it. That's the logic. That's not what I'm saying.
It's so wild.
That's not what I'm saying.
It's so wild. I do wonder, like, what the world would look like if slavery had never happened at all.
Like, probably not as, like, advanced as we are now.
No, because America had 200 years of free labor. Imagine you go to work, you clock in for an hour, but you get paid for the whole year. Like, you eating, you good. It's wild.
Excuse me. And it's not just like the black labor. Like they had like what Asians would build the railroads
Japanese,
and shit. Yeah. Like it was a bunch of people doing shit.
Yeah.
Because they had to do it.
And getting nothing out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it would be as if there was no slavery at all. It never happened.
Yeah.
Not in the books. I don't think we as connected as we are now. One.
No. I think the other thing though is that when we talk about slavery, like obviously it was like the most horrific thing to happen to African Americans, but
something started it.
Something the good that came out of it is that like an entirely new culture was born. So like, to these people who were born on the continent of Africa, to their point, like, no, like most African Americans can't trace their history back to any country in Africa. However, we've created our own culture here. Like, we have hip hop, rap, rock and roll, whether you want to debate it or not, is a black thing. jazz. Like we've created all of these things that the rest of the world consumes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, actually, do I have that? No, I don't think I do. There was a video of this guy who was like, he was in some country in Africa, and he was like wearing his hat backwards, and he was talking slang. It was funny as shit because his accent was so heavy.
Okay.
But it was like, look at how widespread Black people's culture had, reaches.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation before in other episodes when we did the Japanese and Asians rapping, right? Also saying the N-word freely in their music.
Yeah.
I mean, that influence is there. For anybody to deny that is...
Did you have to say freely? I feel like you kind of threw that in there. Like,
that's the topic of conversation.
Like you had to drive that point home for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
But no, I mean, yeah, the influence is there. So if it never happened, that doesn't. Would y'all be as influential if y'all was still in Africa?
No,
right?
No, I think as fucking awful as this sounds, I'm about to say, I think, like they always say, and these religious circles, everything happens for a reason.
Here we go.
God always has a plan.
Sure.
And
crazy plan. Wild plan, God. Hey, we don't need to know what's in the book. You know what I mean? We don't know what's your to-do list, but crazy plan. I got a checklist every morning. Different checklist.
Slavery wasn't on it.
I didn't write it down. Your ideas are different than ours.
Bro. Slavery is in the Bible. Like this shit has been around for forever. But nah, like just look at what has come about as a result. Like Black people, we've gone through something that has helped us to kind of like reshape the way the world sees us. Like, people, as much as they want to say Black people are lazy, we're also resilient because all the laws and all the bullshit that was passed in this country that were like designed to prohibit us from doing stuff, we still became millionaires, billionaires, lawyers, doctors, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And to the people that might be like, well, again, everybody, like even in the video we just saw, everybody had their own form of slavery, right? It was just taken to a completely astronomical level when it became the, Black slaves coming over here. And like we talked about, like Japanese people coming and also having to be forced to work. And then you're going to have the people who are talking about, oh, well, what is it? Irish had to also be side by side and we're also slaves. Yep. But there's a difference between the way it was handled then and then the way it's being handled now.
Right.
And a lot of people, if you want to turn a blind eye and just be like, well, you just need to learn to get over it. Like, yeah, well, the repercussions or the how do I say?
Lasting effect.
Yeah, it's still in, right? That little effect is still lasting. But, shout out to y'all. And also you're welcome, I guess.
For what?
Well, I'm not like I'm white.
Yeah, like what the fuck are you talking about?
No, I was actually doing some Googles earlier because I was like, I wonder who colonized more, right? Like Europe or like Spain.
Well, Spain is in Europe, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, yeah.
The British are like,
Okay. And apparently the Spain was out hunting. They was hunting.
Going crazy, bro. We talked about it like 2 weeks ago.
They was hunting.
Going crazy. Yeah. Listen, those people, they don't get no flack though. And doing all this research and stuff, like, like as heavy and as serious as the podcast probably feels like, I did find some like rather interesting shit. So there's a story of this guy. Actually, I'm just going to play the clip because they probably tell it a little bit better.
I'm sure they would.
Shut the fuck up.
They got to lower it. Just be like, you don't know what ad about to pop up.
Donald Trump is now like, Jesus.
Pata Seca, whose real name was Roque Jose Florencio, is a historical figure known for having fathered over 200 children during his life as an enslaved man in Brazil in the 19th century. Pata Seca was born in Angola in 1828 and was kidnapped and enslaved as a child, eventually being sold to the Viscount of Cunha Bueno in Brazil. He became notorious for his physical stature, reportedly standing over 7 feet tall, which made him a desirable breeding slave for his owner. Pata Seca was compelled to mate with numerous enslaved women on the plantation. His owner aimed to produce strong laborers with strong genetic traits. He was forced to comply with these demands multiple times a day.
It's Black Dynamite.
Pata Seca is believed to be an ancestor of approximately 30% of the population in Santa Eudoxia, a district.
So because of his physicality, he was a horse, basically. That was just pumping him out.
Sex slave, yeah. But they said he's apparent, like his DNA is apparently in 30% of this city or town in Brazil. So that means you got almost 1 in 3 chance of fucking somebody that's related to you.
Yeah.
In this place because of a slave who was just getting
busy, forced to be busy.
Forced to be busy.
Yeah.
You know, it's the wildest shit. Yeah, again, I'm the comments guy. I always go to the comments. Somebody was like, "Yeah, this is the only nigga who didn't want to get freed." I was like, "Yo, what? You think giving birth to like future slaves is fun?"
I mean, he had the easiest part.
I don't know. I've never been forced to get my dick up 12 times a day. Like,
I think after the 10th time, it probably hurts.
You think 10?
Fucking crazy.
You think 10 is the number?
I don't know. That's my best
I'm
guess.
pretty sure like 3 or 4, your balls feel like they're about to explode.
Your whole dick is inflamed.
Oh my God, bruh.
And they can't all be wet, right? All right, everybody.
Oh yeah, you're getting crazy, George. Like we're talking about people that are dead and were enslaved. I don't.
You know that do you watch?
Fantasize or
I don't know if it's just a me thing, but I'll watch. I'll watch old movies, right? Like from the 80s. And if there's someone old in that movie, I just be like, "You dead as dirt right now." Because if it's like an old person in the 80s, they're dead now. I don't even need to search it. I just be like, "You're dead." Is that just me? Does nobody watch shit and just be like, "Oh, you're dead"?
George, I don't think anybody cares. I think most people are just trying to enjoy the movie.
I don't know why I think about it.
Nobody's thinking about this person's like. People could be looking at us like, "Yeah, you got about 30 years left." Like,
I don't predict people's, but if you're 80 in the 80s and this is 2025, you are
like
dead.
You're like, "God damn, you dead."
You don't even know I'm watching you right now because you're dead. That's the shit that goes through my mind.
Bro, something's wrong with you. Like, truly something's wrong with you. Like, I don't know what the hell happened to you as a kid, but it fucks you up. Yeah, you are not a normal person, bro.
Bro, I literally be watching shit with Alita and be like, "You think the person's still alive right now?" She's like, "I don't fucking know." I'm like, "I think they're dead." And then I won't look it up because that's going to take away the mystery of it all.
Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure you're
pretty
dead.
sure they're fucking dead.
Nah, there's some old ass actors who like have lived to be like 80, 90. What was her name? Cicely Tyson. She's looked old for like 40 years.
It was like Morgan Freeman that's looked old since he was like 50.
Yeah,
he looked like he was...
Bro, even as a 30-year-old.
I don't know if he's ever been young.
Morgan Freeman was born somebody's dad. Like, bro, just always looked mature. Like he had a job since he was 2. Yeah, always had responsibilities. Yeah.
Anyway, you got anything else about?
Nah. I mean, I feel like we've covered like different variations of slavery, et cetera, et cetera. I would be interested in having somebody from the continent of Africa, one of those countries, come on and maybe give their perspective.
I would love to hear that actually, because like, how do you feel as Black person here in America to have someone if someone from Africa was like, "Oh, well, you're not black, you're like America Black," which isn't the same as me because I'm African Black.
Yeah.
Does that feel any certain way? Or you're just like, I don't give a fuck about what you think?
I don't care because also like whatever they learn about us over there is skewed. Like,
it's watered down. It's different. It's
Y'all have your own shit to worry about. If it's not the French or the British or the Spanish,
it's tigers, bears.
Like, bruh, like y'all have your own shit to work through. So I don't particularly care. But also, like, yeah, you're probably right. Like, if you put our DNAs to the test, like who's the blackest? Yeah, my shit is watered down without question. I'm fucking light skinned. Oh God, I just said that out loud. My wife is going to use that shit against me for the rest of my life. Fuck.
Got it on camera.
Oh man.
That's all I was working towards.
Well, yeah.
Ship it.
I just
clip
had
it
a
and ship
shits
it.
and gigs moment.
How they doing? They doing all right?
I don't know, bro. I don't even worry about them. Like, I'm trying to stop the black on black crime.
I'm trying to throw some fire on it.
You a piece of shit.
Why y'all do it?
Oh my god.
The fucking argument. The fucking argument. Y'all get to do
Y'all
it.
get to do it.
I want to do it. That shit look fun.
Oh, anyway, man. We appreciate the fact that you guys have been watching, have really enjoyed the episodes and stuff. You guys have been engaging, supporting the channel. We appreciate that. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for this episode also. And if you have some ideas of what you want us to cover, or what you might want to learn about, let us know in the chat. George will maybe chip in and make this a little bit easier on me for once.
We'll see. I did one presentation on this once, which
you?
was the alien one that
Oh my god.
was a shit show.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
The PowerPoint presentation.
All 12 of the people who enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Either way, we'll catch y'all next week, man.
You're-